happy to welcome you today. We have a webinar series in the project called SCRAPPIES. SCRAPPIES is a Erasmus Plus project supported by European Commission for enhancing creativity and sustainable attitudes of children through play and recycled materials. So the idea of recycling and the broader perspectives of sustainability and also children's well-being and playfulness are all included in this project and all involved in this project. And I'm very glad to welcome a very special guest of this webinar series, who is very special to me personally, because Professor Hannu Heikkinen is among my closest colleagues. So I'm really glad and honored to work in his research group. And also he's a person who has a lot of insights, not only the everyday practice of sustainability, because I know him personally, so I know his personal values, but also he knows a lot about policies and frameworks around sustainability. And he's also among those who might have some freshest information about European Union's guidelines, policies, frameworks about sustainability competences, sustainability-related competences. And today's webinar will be devoted to all these questions. And as you can see, the title is Towards Sustainable Hope. So I think there will be even more aspects introduced of these questions. So to have an even more formal introduction, I welcome Hannu in the webinar. And let me tell that Hannu Heikkinen is a professor at the Finnish Institute for Educational Research at the University of Jyväskylä. You can see his wonderful T-shirt where Jyväskylän yliopisto, it means University of Jyväskylä in Finnish. So Jyväskylä is in Finland, and also the motto of our university, Amica Veritas. So Hannu is also a friend of the truth, right? Something like that. And he's leading the research team for ecosocial sustainability and education. This is a big research group and also a collection of several projects coming from the EU or Finnish or global level. I'm sure that Professor Heikkinen will introduce this. And the aim is to develop education to forestall the great ecological risk of our time, the biggest of which are climate change and the sixth massive wave of extinction. So these are quite threatening images here in my mind when I read this. And so we will talk about that, how to be hopeful, right? Even among these threats and what can be our hopes. So the partners of the SCRAPPIES project are also need to be introduced. In fact, the coordinator is GratoSfera Foundation from Poland, and our partner is Rogers Foundation for Person-Centered Education in Hungary. And I would like to say also thanks for Orshea Tuba, who is remotely joining from Barcelona to this event. And my colleague Takumi Yada is also with us. So Hannu, please start the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. It's a pleasure to be here indeed, and to think aloud together with you about something like sustainable hope. So I think you should see my screen now. Is it okay?
We see your screen, and now we see it in full size. Yes.
Okay, that's the presentation. Okay, towards sustainable hope. That's the title for today. And well, this is what I wrote in the for this lecture. When you follow the news and look around the world, the situation of the planet seems hopeless. Global warming is inevitable, and species extinction threatens us in unpredictable ways. Where can you find sustainable hope for envisioning a better future? So that is the task for today. And if you look around, I think all of us have seen these pictures in the television news and newspapers, wherever, about the climate change. And the picture there on the left hand shows that even if we put all the carbon emissions to zero today, this globe still goes on warming up. And actually, it will be anyway, it will be very hot anyway, somewhere in 2060, 2070 or something like that. So even though we would do the best we can, it seems that the circumstances on this planet will be disastrous indeed. So we actually, I think we are on the threshold of an ecological crisis. But actually, this is not the only bad news. And maybe even worse is what is called the sixth massive extinction. And this has happened actually five times on this planet before. And in all these mass extinctions, the species that have been on the top of the ecosystem have just disappeared. And last time they happened to be dinosaurs. And this time the species is called Homo sapiens, which is the wise human. And then the critical question is, has the Earth's sixth mass extinction already started? And according to the natural sciences, it really has started, and it is going on in very, very quickly. And we actually don't know the consequences, what is happening, and how this mass extinction will then cause some other effects, kind of chain reactions on this planet. There is a figure from the very famous journal Nature. This was published about 10 years ago, but it is still valid. And it says that the critical change in the global ecosystems actually will be somewhere 2045. And no one actually knows what will happen after 2045. It can actually be really a collapse of all the ecosystems on this globe. So this is something that really concerns me. And I would say this really sounds like a very, very depressive news indeed. And therefore, actually, we have to think what to do as teachers and educational researchers. And so basically, we can answer to this question in two ways. So the most evident answer is that there is no hope. Or then we can think that as teachers, we actually can't lose hope. We have to have the hope, because if we don't have any hope, we don't have any basis for education or actually for anything. And therefore, we must say everything is all right, just carry on. But what actually are the consequences if we choose either of these answers to this question? And now we actually are going straight to the small groups, the breakout rooms, to discuss about these questions for 5 minutes. So, what is your answer to this question, and what are the consequences? So, yes, the answer is that we must have hope. We can't give up. That's what I think. And therefore, I also think that we need to shift from problem-centered sustainability education to solution-centered sustainability education, or actually you can replace the word sustainability with some other words, climate education, or whatever education. But anyway, hope is that we need. We can't give up. And that's actually why we have been focusing on the solutions and not to the problems when we have been developing this sustainability competence framework together with my research team, the ECF for Climate research team. And this actually is the roadmap for a better future, for sustainable future. And this is based on the European Union GreenComp competence framework. And in this project, ECF for Clim, we are doing together, we are developing this roadmap based on the GreenComp sustainability competence framework. And the GreenComp actually was delivered a couple of years ago by the European Union. And it consists of 4 competence areas. I will tell you just in a minute those 4 competence areas, and each of them then has 3 competencies. And each of these competencies have also their own knowledge, skills, and attitudes. So it's altogether, it's 169 different knowledges, skills, and attitudes. So if we distill down what is the sustainability competencies, actually it's very, very complex thing indeed. So this GreenComp was originally created by the Research Center of the European Union and delivered a couple of years ago. And now our task is to operationalize this to something which happens in the schools. So this is what this ECF for Clean project is about. And at the end, we will have the roadmap, which is the European roadmap for sustainability. But now we are on the phase of testing it. We have had some crowdsourcing, some educational experts, teachers, researchers commenting on this roadmap, but it is still not the final version. So this is still a work in progress, and actually you still can have your say on this. So, but anyway, let's start from the first competence area. It's embodying sustainability values. So we start from understanding what sustainability is about, why is it important. It's very much about the personal values and also the social values. We also have to take into account the fairness thing. I mean, ecological sustainability is intertwined with social sustainability, of course. So we have to promote fairness in the same time when we promote ecological sustainability. And basically, we have to understand that humans are part of nature, and we have to respect the needs and rights of other species as well. And understand that the human well-being is based on the well-being of the planetary ecosystem or the biosphere. So that is the first sustainability area. Then the second is embracing complexity in sustainability. And this means that we have to adopt a systemic way of thinking. We have to be able to think about these sustainability problems from all sides, to consider time, space, and context in order to understand how elements interact within and between systems. It's about interconnectedness of economy, society, and environment. Then the second area is critical thinking. So we have to be able to think critically. We have to be able to reflect and question of the practices that we have at this moment. Then it is also important to understand how the problems are framed within other problems in this planet. Then the third sustainability area, and the third step on this sustainability roadmap is envisioning sustainable futures. So it's about futures literacy, adaptability, and exploratory thinking. I will speak more about this later, so we will next turn to the fourth step, which of course is the most important. It's about acting for sustainability. And we have to act as individuals. We have to be able to act as societies, collective action. And this also requires political agency. So we have to influence to the political system and make the laws and regulations in the societies as sustainable as possible. Well, today, this is kind of the repetition. So this is all those steps and sustainability areas, competence areas in a nutshell again. You will have these slides later. So I will now go to the envisioning sustainable future sustainability area, because I think in terms of this project, I mean the SCRAPPIES project, this is very important, because SCRAPPIES is about playfulness and creativity. And we need some kind of alternative ways to think and to act in this world. And that is why this SCRAPPIES project, I think it's very important. On the web page, it is said that this SCRAPPIES project wants to enhance the creativity, divergent thinking, cooperation, and resilience. It wants to extend students' imagination, increase the level of commitment to green earth and climate action. So I think this project is really in the very heart of the sustainability competencies. Let's take a closer look at the envisioning future. So how we see the future. And now I'm introducing the future cone, which was originally introduced by Joseph Burrows, 2001. And as you can see, it was edited by myself today for this seminar. Actually, I made the Finnish version last November, but this is the first time I introduced this in English. But anyway, so this dimension is the time. So from the present to the future. And then we have the minus and plus dimension there. So how we see the future, is it negative or positive, what we see in the future? And when we start from the present, you can maybe imagine that it's kind of binocular, or something. You take a look at what is there in the future, and then somewhere there in the middle, you can see a probable future. So if everything goes like this is the probable outcome. And today, actually, if we think what is most probable, is that really the globe is warming up too much. But we also can see, if we widen the perspective, we can see some plausible futures. This is also possible. But we also can see even broader options in the future. So this is the actually the line here, this line, can you see the arrow here? This is the line between the possible and impossible future. So everything inside of this is possible. Something of this is plausible, and this is actually the probable. But we are not quite happy with this, because actually we don't want just to wait what is happening, but we want to act. We want to make a better future. And so here we go. This is the preferable future. This is what we want. This is the positive future that we really want. So we are raising the aim to gain something which is not probable, but it's something we really hope to happen in the future. And actually, we can see that if we take this kind of perspective to the future, we can find some hope and even some joy, or even some enchantment. Actually, this also strengthens our efforts to gain this kind of future. So this is kind of, we call this self-fulfilling prophecy. So if we believe that this will happen, and then we have some courage and inspiration to work for this, then we can succeed. We can gain the preferable future. But it also happens in the other way around. If we are anxious, and if we are in despair, then we maybe are approaching something like dystopia, something undesirable future. Well, actually, the dystopia is there. It's between the possible and impossible. As you remember, this line here, this black line, inside of this line is what is possible, and outside of this is something impossible. Dystopia is somewhere between possible and impossible. But anyway, the same actually goes with utopia. So utopia is something, it might be possible, but it also includes something which absolutely is not possible, or at least we don't understand at this moment that this would be possible now. But hopefully it might be possible in the future. And therefore, actually, if we take a look from here, from present to the future, if we aim to utopia, then we maybe gain something preferable in the future. So this is basically, I think the main message of this is that we really can't give up. We just have to keep up with a hope and sustainable hope, because if we then just drop all our tools and stop doing anything, if we are filled with anxiety and despair, it's very, very evident that we will then end up with close dystopia rather than utopia. Okay, so these are the possible futures according to this application of future cone. But then actually I've also got some good news from today, from the meeting in the Ministry of Education and Culture, we had a meeting with the OECD education department, and actually the OECD is not just aiming to survival, but towards something that they call human flourishing in the future. And so in this report, which was written by Michael Stevenson, who was there today, it's been crystallized like this. Since the pace of change is so rapid and our understanding of what lies ahead necessarily limited, it is no longer appropriate to see education as an instrumental process preparing students for a known future. Instead, schools are increasingly helping them develop a reliable compass and useful tools to navigate through uncertainty. So in this way, actually, the future that we can see is not just surviving, but it is more. And actually, we have opportunities for flourishing. And flourishing actually in very many levels. So it's flourishing of individuals today and tomorrow, but it is also planetary flourishing. And actually the basis of human flourishing is that it is basically, it's based on the well-being of the planet and the nature. So everything that we can gain is based on the planetary well-being or planetary flourishing. So I think this is really good news, and they are now actually planning in the OECD Center for Strategic Education that they are going to change the whole PISA tests according to this thinking. So, and this actually, I think it's a big wisdom by the very famous European educational theorist Gert Biesta, who has said in his book, Education in the Age of Measurement, that what we measure actually becomes what we value. But then if we value things like this, we also must try to measure things like this. So actually, they are now thinking in OECD that something like flourishing will actually be measured in the future instead of only mathematics and literacy and so on and so forth. So basically, that was my speech today. And I'm very excited to hear your comments and questions. And so the floor is yours. Thank you.